Eerie Elementary. The hall monitors are fired. By Jack Chabert. A Merry Morning. 1. I can't wait for tomorrow, Sam Graves said to himself as he strolled through the Eerie Elementary School gate. Sam had a huge smile on his face. The sun was warm and the grass was green. Best of all, tomorrow was Sam's favorite day of the year, kickball showdown. Sam spotted his best friends, Antonio and Lucy. They were on the front steps of the school, helping students line up. Today they had morning hall monitor duty. Sam was Eerie Elementary's head hall monitor and Antonio and Lucy were assistant hall monitors. They did normal things, like make sure their classmates behaved in the hallways and help students line up before the morning bell. But they also did top secret things. Ring! The bell! Sam thought. I'd better hurry. Sam threw on his hall monitor sash as he sped across the playground. Students funneled into the school. Sam was about to call out to Antonio and Lucy, but smack. Oof! Sam exclaimed. He crashed to the ground. Thankfully, a bed of wood chips cushioned his fall. Sam looked to see what had made him trip. His shoelace was hooked on the merry-go-round. How did my shoelace get caught there? Sam wondered. He reached to unhook his shoelace. But then... Yank! Whoa! Sam shouted. He was suddenly dragged across the ground. The rusty merry-go-round was turning. All by itself. With every squeak, it jerked Sam roughly across the dry wood chips. Sam's heart pounded. He hadn't tripped the merry-go-round, had grabbed his shoelace. This was the work of Orson Eerie. Sam was one of the few people who knew the truth about Eerie Elementary. The school was alive. Nearly 100 years ago, a mad scientist named Orson Eerie found a way to live forever. He became the school. Orson Eerie was the school, and the school was Orson Eerie. Eerie Elementary was a living, breathing thing that fed on students. And hall monitor Sam Graves was the protector of its students and teachers. Glancing up, Sam saw his third-grade teacher, Ms. Grinker, in the school doorway. Maybe I can get her attention, Sam thought. He tried to call her name, but he was spinning too fast to get the words out. He scraped and tore at the wood chips, but it was useless. The merry-go-round wasn't slowing down. Ms. Grinker stepped inside. The door shut. Now I'm alone out here, Sam thought. Alone with a monstrous merry-go-round. Squeak! Screech! Squeal! The rickety, rusty merry-go-round spun like a top. Sam clawed at the wood chips, but the speed caused him to be lifted off the ground. His arms waved about wildly. He felt the wind in his hair as he spun faster and faster. Oh no! Sam gasped. At any moment, the merry-go-round would release him and he'd go flying. Running late. 2. Sam's heart slammed in his chest. The merry-go-round spun and spun. The speed plus the force made Sam's sneaker squeeze his foot tighter and tighter. He shouted, "Someone help!" But the playground was empty. Sam's mind raced. I'm going to be thrown from this thing. I can't stop it. But then... Clank-ca clank. The rusty merry-go-round shuddered and slowed. Sam crashed into the wood chips. His shoelace was released. He staggered to his feet. He had never been dizzier. The school could have hurled me, Sam thought. But it didn't. The school has never let me go without a fight before. Sam was confused, but he was also late. He raced toward the school. He bounded up the steps and hurried inside. Sam Graves! Ms. Grinker barked as he ran into the classroom. "You're late. Our head hall monitor should never be tardy." Sam felt his face grow red. Everyone was staring. A few students chuckled. "I'm sorry," Sam said quickly. He made his way to his desk, next to Antonio and Lucy. "Hey, buddy. You're never late," Antonio whispered. Lucy added, "What happened?" Sam was about to explain, but Ms. Grinker shot him a look. "Students, a reminder," said Ms. Grinker. "Tomorrow is the annual kickball showdown. As always, the game will have 5 innings. 2 teams will take turns kicking and fielding. The team that scores the most runs wins." The class began buzzing. Everyone loved kickball showdown. Ms. Grinker continued, "Our class will compete against Ms. Armstrong's 3rd grade class. The entire school will watch from the bleachers." "I am pumped," Antonio whispered to Sam. "I have been practicing my diving face-first slide. I'm going to steal a base." "I'll believe it when I see it," Lucy said, smiling. "You might just trip and splat." "No way," Antonio said. "It will be the perfect slide in front of the whole school." Sam's heart pounded. The whole school, he thought. Kickball showdown means the whole school will be in one place. That morning, for the first time ever, Eerie Elementary had simply let Sam go. And tomorrow, the whole school would be gathered in one place for the big game. Sam was certain both things were part of one big Orson Eerie evil plan. Sam gulped. He no longer felt excited for Kickball Showdown. Now, he felt afraid. From bad to worse. 3. Sam's day got worse and worse. In fact, it was an awful day for all 3 of Eerie Elementary's hall monitors. First, Lucy got in trouble. She was holding the door when it jumped from her hand and slammed in Ms. Grinker's face. It looked like Lucy had slammed the door on purpose. Ms. Grinker gave her a warning. Antonio got in trouble next. It was just before recess and everyone was at their lockers. Antonio set his backpack down, but it leapt into the middle of the hallway right beneath Ms. Grinker's feet. She scolded him, too. "It feels like the school is trying to get us in trouble," Antonio said to his friends as they walked outside. During recess, things got worse. The hall monitors were by the jungle gym when Mr. Nakobe walked over. Mr. Nakobe, I was the old man who took care of Eerie Elementary. It was Mr. Nakobe who had chosen Sam to be the school's hall monitor. He had shown Sam the horrible truth about the monstrous school. Mr. Nakobe said, "I have to trim some trees in front of the school. Would you 3 mind getting the field ready for Kickball Showdown?" "Sure. Lucy and I can set up the bleachers," Antonio said. "I'll clean off the bases and inflate the kickballs," Sam said. He grabbed a broom and followed his friends to the field. Sam was sweeping home plate when he felt a twisting and tangling inside his gut. As hall monitor, Sam could sense things that other students couldn't. He could feel when something was wrong. Right now, Sam had that feeling. He looked up. The metal backstop loomed over him. Crack. Wind whipped across the field and the backstop shook. Sunlight danced and shined on the metal fence. Sam couldn't pull his eyes away from it. He felt like he was falling into a trance. Sam saw a face. It was the face of his ultimate enemy, Orson Eerie. And the face was staring at Sam. Ring! The sound snapped Sam out of his trance. "That's the bell, Sam!" Lucy yelled. "We need to head inside. But I still need to inflate the kickballs." Sam called back. "We'll help." Antonio shouted. He and Lucy hurried over. Sam grabbed an air pump and inflated the kickballs. Lucy and Antonio helped. They were finishing when ring. The second bell. Sam exclaimed. Now we're really late. Sam placed the pump near the bleachers. Then he and his friends raced inside. But they soon skidded to a stop. Ms. Grinker was waiting for them in the classroom doorway. Their classmates were already seated. I'm fed up with you three. Ms. Grinker barked. Sam, you've been late twice today. Lucy, Antonio, your behavior has been unacceptable. But Sam began. She interrupted him. As punishment, you will all stay after school today. You will scrape the gum from beneath every classroom desk. Sam's classmates said, woohoo. Ms. Grinker glared at Sam, Antonio, and Lucy. You'd better shape up or you won't be hall monitors much longer. Spooky scrubbing. 4. School was over and the messy job of scraping gum had begun. Ms. Grinker was at her desk grading papers. She looked up every few moments, keeping an eye on the 3 students. Sam was on his back, staring up at a desk. Dozens of hard, dried bubble gum blobs dotted the desk's bottom. Gross, he muttered. Antonio and Lucy were underneath desks, too. Who chewed all this gum? Antonio whispered. Not me, Lucy replied. They each used a wooden ruler to chip away at the bright neon-colored gum. Flaky bits of dried gum sprinkled down onto their faces. Ms. Grinker stood. I am heading to the teacher's lounge. When I return, every desk had better be gum-free. Ms. Grinker shut the door. Instantly, Sam's gut felt tight. It was the same feeling he'd had earlier. Clatter! 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 Sam! Your desk! Lucy said. The desk above Sam was shaking. The metal feet rattled. It was practically jumping. And then... clank! Zoom! The desk leapt into the air. Sam rolled out of the way just before. The desk crashed to the floor. Lucy and Antonio scrambled out from beneath their desks. Stay calm, Antonio said. Easy for you to say, Sam replied. It was my desk that did a backflip. Wait, what's that? Asked Lucy. The friends inched toward the overturned desk. A purple blob of gum was bubbling on the bottom of the desk. It seemed to be growing bigger and bigger. Then whoosh! A lump of wet gum whipped past Sam's face. He whirled around. Chunks of gum were flying across the room. It was like invisible hands were throwing them. Hundreds of globs of gum started joining together. A massive, monstrous ball of gum was forming. What's happening? Lucy asked. Whatever it is, I don't want to be here for it. Antonio said. Follow me. Sam sped toward the door. But suddenly, a gummy tentacle cracked like a whip. Slap! It snapped against Sam's wrist and encircled his arm. The sticky tentacle hurled Sam into a bookshelf. Sam! Lucy cried out. More neon-colored tentacles leapt from the gigantic ball and snaked toward Sam. They yanked him off his feet. The gum has got me! Sam cried. Sam kicked and fought, but he just became more stuck. Orange and pink gums surrounded him. He was sinking into the great gummy beast. Chewed out! 5. The monstrous wad of bubble gum was about to swallow Sam whole. He couldn't wrestle free from the sticky mess. Lucy's eyes bulged. Sam's being gobbled up by a bubble gum monster. Wet strands of bubble gum slithered across Sam's face. The stink of sticky sweetness filled his nostrils. Soon, only bits of Sam were visible. One sneaker jutted out from the huge, colorful ball. Two hands poked through the mess. "We're supposed to chew gum," Antonio said. "Gum isn't supposed to chew us. We have to pull him out," Lucy cried. They dashed toward their friend. Antonio grabbed Sam's hand. Lucy took Sam's foot. They pulled and tugged and Sam tumbled out of the bubble gum monster. The three friends crashed into Ms. Grinker's desk. Glug 00000 who? A wet, monstrous hull filled the room. "It's not over yet," Sam yelled. Lucy's eyes went wide. It looks like the monster is turning into one giant bubble gum bubble. The swelling pink globe was filling the classroom. Desks tumbled over. A bookshelf crashed to the floor. Sam could see the doorway through the bubble, but escape was impossible. "Get behind Ms. Grinker's desk," Sam called out. The friends scrambled over the desk. But the moment their feet hit the ground, the bubble pushed the desk. It pinned them against the board. Ms. Grinker's red pen started rolling away. Antonio and Lucy quickly reached for it and banged heads. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Lucy asked. "Yep," Antonio said. "Pop that bubble." Lucy scooped up the pen and held it like a tiny sword. The bubble grew bigger and came closer. Lucy thrust the pen into the bubble. Pop! It burst! It was the biggest blast of bubble gum in the history of bubble gum blasts. Sticky, gooey mess splattered everywhere. "Yuck!" Lucy exclaimed as she pulled gum from her hair. Slam! The door flew open. Ms. Grinker's eyes bulged as she stared at the strange mess. Gum dripped from the walls. Strings of pink and orange goo hung from the ceiling. Ms. Grinker was furious. Sam wouldn't have been surprised if steam started coming out of her ears. "That's it!" Ms. Grinker roared. "You are done being hall monitors." Handing it over. 6. Bubble gum is everywhere, Ms. Grinker exclaimed in Principal Winnick's office. "I don't know how 3 third graders created such a huge, sticky mess." Sam, Lucy, and Antonio stood before their principal. Ms. Grinker was arguing that they should be fired from their hall monitor jobs. Principal Winnick's mouth was a tight, stern line. Mr. Jacoby was there, too. He had been listening silently, but now he stepped forward. "Principal Winnick," Mr. Jacoby began. "Sam is a very responsible hall monitor. And Lucy and Antonio are the best assistant hall monitors the school has ever had." Ms. Grinker scowled. "Lucy closed a door in my face." "It wasn't my Lucy started," Ms. Grinker interrupted. "And Antonio tripped me." "I didn't dash," Antonio began to say. Ms. Grinker slammed her hands down on Principal Winnick's desk. Being a hall monitor is a very special privilege. Students who get detention, who are tardy, and who cause bubble gum explosions cannot be hall monitors. Principal Winnick stood up. "I agree. You 3 are fired. Sam, please turn in your sash." Sam swallowed. He couldn't believe this was happening. Sam's hand trembled as he pulled the bright orange sash from his backpack. Mr. Jacoby had given him the sash on his first day as hall monitor. It was a symbol of the hall monitor's power. The moment he handed it to Principal Winnick, Sam felt weak. He felt like the wind had been knocked out of him. Sam remembered what Mr. Nakobe had told him months earlier. As hall monitor, you have the ability to sense the school, to see and feel and hear what others cannot. Principal Winnick stuffed the sash into a desk drawer. One last thing, he said. Sam, Lucy, Antonio, you will not be participating in tomorrow's kickball showdown. Instead, you three will scrub your classroom until it sparkles. Sam and his friends slunk down the hall. Mr. Nakobe followed them outside. Spring was just around the corner and the air was warm. The school hasn't been left unprotected like this in years. Mr. Nakobe said. Unprotected? I don't understand, Lucy said. We're still here. We can still fight. Mr. Nakobe's voice was heavy and sad. Yes. But you are no longer hall monitors. I'm afraid you simply won't be strong enough to battle Eerie Elementary. Sam and his friends dragged their feet as they walked home. I can't believe we lost our jobs, Lucy said. How did we let this happen? We didn't let anything happen, Sam said. Orson Eerie messed with us all day and made us look like terrible hall monitors. Antonio scowled. It's like the school was trying to get us fired. Well, it worked, Lucy said. We were fired just in time for Kickball showdown, they exclaimed at once. This was all part of Orson's plan, Sam said. He looked back at the old, towering school. We know what Orson wants. The same thing he always wants. To eat.